Right now, we have the prosecution asking her some basic questions. By the way, we should note she is going by Stormy Daniels on the stand. The judge asked, or she was asked, I should say, by the prosecution, which name she prefers, if she prefers Stormy Daniels or Stephanie Clifford. She said Stormy Daniels. At this point, they're just really laying some of the groundwork on who she is, her background. She talked about growing up in Louisiana, saying she was born and raised in Baton Rouge. Her parents split up when she was 4. She was raised mostly by a single working mom, went to a strict elementary school, middle school. So they're really taking the jurors through her life story briefly, taking them up to, you know, she graduated the top 10 in her class, she said, when it came to this high school that she was at, a magnet high school, received a scholarship from Texas A&M. Did take college class, she said, when she was in a high school. And our caller from the courtroom, from our reporter there, Gary Gumbach, says that she's speaking very quickly and is being asked to slow down for the court reporter. She talks about being in the equestrian club, was a member, it appears, of the Baton Rouge Ballet Company. They ask her if she worked in high school. She says, I worked at a stable where my horses board. She shoveled manure. Later, I went on to dancing, she said. And she's always been a dancer, is what she says. Mostly it looks like ballet and jazz. And they're still filling in the rest of the document. So let me bring our legal analyst here into the conversation. Just help us understand, Catherine, what they're doing in terms of establishing who Stormy Daniels is, why they have to go into this far back in her story.
I always used to tell my witnesses, I want the jury to get to know you. So before we get to this is what happened on this day and I was a victim of a crime or the defendant did this, we're going to give a little bit of the background of your life. Because sometimes, like, why do I have to talk about that? So they can know you, so they know you're telling the truth. You know, that where you worked, where you went to school, that you have a family. So this is their way, and Susan Hoffinger is doing the direct examination of having the jury get to know her as a person and finding her credible when she speaks. Now, she's not going to talk about falsifying business records, but she is there to have them see why Donald Trump, no offense to her, she is an adult film actress, why it was important for him to make sure she did not reveal that they had an affair to the public before the election. But first, it's a little bit of background about her.
You mentioned Susan Hoffinger doing the questioning of Stormy Daniels. There's obviously a big team with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Jeremy, do you think that it was real strategic to have a woman questioning Stormy Daniels through this sensitive part of testimony that is to come?
I think in this scenario, yes. And sometimes you see more so on the defense, but often on the prosecution, if there's a sexual crime, though this is not a sexual crime, that sometimes that you would want a female prosecutor or a female defense attorney to address the witness because there's more of a bond and you don't want to look like a guy who's being a bully and who has who has no concept of the issues that a woman would go through, which is understandable. So, you know, Susan Hoffinger, this is not her first time. This is not her first rodeo. She's been on both sides, in fact, as a prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney. So if anyone is fit for this type of questioning, it would be her. And to your point just seconds ago, you want to humanize that witness. You want the jury to like them and find them to be regular and no different than you. Sometimes that's tears. And even a juror, even a witness who's speaking quickly, that's just a sign of anxiousness. And just like you might have, or Hope Hicks, who was crying because it's a nervous, difficult thing to do, to testify in front of strangers.
And we're learning more about Stormy Daniels' story. She talks about moving out of her mother's house. She says she moved out when she was 17, says my mother was neglectful and she disappeared for days at a time. She would vanish. I was right at the time of my senior year. I left for a little bit. I considered myself an adult, so I moved out. Daniels goes on to say her mother was not an addict, but would disappear at times. And to this day, I honestly don't know. She said her mother would just vanish. And then the prosecutor asks, have you supported yourself ever since? Daniels, yes. Did you start doing other work, nude modeling? Daniels, we had guest stars at the club and they would do aerial shows. And because I was an actual dancer, you needed credits to be the headliner. She says, I was like, I want to do that, but you have to have some sort of credit, a reason to be the headliner, a reason to come in and be the star. Daniels, you have to have credit. So I started posing to get the accolades. She says, I went on to pose for some magazines to get some accolades to be able to go on tour. Hoffinger, how old were you when you started that work? Stormy Daniels, 21. Hoffinger, did you work in the adult film industry? Daniels, yes. We had contests in North America. the people who make the most were, and then we're still typing here. So that's where we are in this testimony from Stormy Daniels. Danny, how critical is the testimony from Stormy Daniels to this case?
There are two answers to that question. In terms of flashiness, in terms of name recognition, Stormy Daniels is near the top, right up there with Michael Cohen. But in terms of substantive evidence, not that important in my view. Let me say it this way. There have been other witnesses that are far more important to the prosecution's case, arguably even today and yesterday, names that you haven't heard of before, people who are inside the Trump organization who handle the finances. You could argue that yesterday a huge portion of the people's case was made with witnesses that most people have never heard of. And then you have someone like Stormy Daniels, which, I took the position that they arguably didn't even need to call her. I think they do for two main reasons. Number one, to bookend and put a name to the face of the transaction from Cohen to Daniels. And then also, I think she'll testify about the value of her story and how that value, like any other market, increased as the election approached. So she is significant to the prosecution's case, but in terms of what evidence they need from her, it's really minimal. This is more about context. This is more about name recognition. The jury will be riveted in a way that maybe they weren't riveted yesterday with all the accounting testimony. So this is going to be a good witness for the prosecution, even if she is limited in her testimony. I don't think she's going to be very limited. And also, I was wondering if she might sort of go off script and maybe say some outrageous things. It doesn't seem that way right now, but right now she appears to be responding to what the prosecution's asking her. But when the defense gets up, there's a possibility she might throw out a few grenades if they ask questions that are ill-advised. They ask questions of Stormy Daniels, I think, at their own risk, the defense does, because she's not really under the control the way a cooperating witness would be of the prosecution. So she could really say anything, and she arguably has a motive to do so to stay in the public light.
And right now, she's still just talking about her background. They're asking, did you continue to write and direct films? How old were you at the time? She says she was 23 when she was offered a contract in adult film writing. And if she still continues to write and direct films, she says, yes, I still do. She describes the types of movies she's written and directed. She says there's the kinds that aren't scripted. They're just sort of scenes. And then they're basically actual movies that have sex. She says she started directing when she was 23, starts listing some of the names of the different movies that she's directed. Catherine, is it risky at all to put Stormy Daniels on the stand if you're the prosecutor?
No, because, and I agree with Danny, she didn't have to be called. Her lawyer was called. He confirmed that the payment, the banker confirmed the wire. But I always felt as a prosecutor, you don't want to hide a witness. You don't want the jury thinking, why didn't they call her? Unless she was going to be horrific. And if she's willing to testify, I would put her on. And I think the cross-examination is going to be done by Susan Necklace, who, quite frankly, on that defense team is the most experienced in terms of doing cross-examination. So, and again, the woman point. So I don't think she will, what we call, open the door to some outrageous testimony coming out of Ms. Daniels' mouth unless she volunteers that, which would not make her look good.
Jeremy?
Yeah, it completes the narrative to everyone's point. You need her, what I need is a generic term here. You don't need her there to prove your case, but you need her there if you want to complete the narrative and not seem like you're hiding something. The danger is for the defense, if the defense takes the tactic that this is some sort of shakedown and she's an extortionist blackmailer, well, the fear that they're going to do is not just that Stormy will throw a grenade, they're going to drop and detonate their own grenade and open that door, that all of a sudden that limited sexual story that, Judge Merchan has already said we're not going to go into the details. Well, does it open up the door to that? Does it open up the door to any other conversations that occurred? So there's a lot of fear that the prosecution, that the defense might have if they go too far off course and open that door. So is she needed? Again, she helps, and she's essential to complete that story, that narrative. She doesn't prove any of the elements necessarily, and there's a danger from that defense if they sway too much that those grenades are going to be dropped on their own, not necessarily thrown indirectly or directly from Stormy Daniels.